Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. It is episode 145, and we've got a fantastic musician, guitar player, Jason Hook, with us from Flat Black and formerly Five Finger Death Punch. How you doing, Jason?
I'm really good. Thanks for asking.
We could go further on down for formerly of.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's excited about his new music. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I am. Well, first of all, I owe you both an apology because I know that we had been trying to book this thing like 15 times, and but my life really went from 0 to 100 overnight, and I sort of was working on the band and the record and not doing any sort of posting or podcast or anything, just trying to focus on making this record, and then. Like overnight, the activity just went from 0 to 100, and I really wanted to be in the right headspace for this, with no distractions and no pending rehearsals or tours or anything like that. And it just went. It was like a tornado swept us up, and everything changed so dramatically. And I didn't want to do it after a show in the back of a bus or anything. I didn't want to do. I just wanted to do it from home when it was clear.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great.
Believe me. You're not the only one that we've been chasing.
Okay.
There are people that we've been chasing far longer, years, maybe even.
Yeah, it took us. To get Greg Fiddleman on, it took us a long time.
It took us like a year or more.
Yeah, that was a year or two in the making, and yeah. So you're not. Don't worry. you're good.
You're good. You're quick.
We're happy to have you on. So, and I know it's been busy for you. You know, you guys released a video. You released a single.
3 videos, 3 singles.
You got a new band together, of which I'm about to show the screen for everybody. You can check it out. So you want to check out Flat Black Music. This is the new band.
I like the name.
Yeah, I like it too.
Thanks. Because I had a list of 1,000 crappy names.
Oh yeah,
that's tough. Man,
it is
trying to name something is anything. Try to name anything is hard.
At this point, too.
Name an amp model, even. Jesus, pedal,
anything. Yeah. And then you also have to try to secure all the URL and the social handles and stuff. So to try to come up with something that hasn't already been acquired is very difficult. But I remember driving past the McCarran Airport here in Las Vegas, and I saw a really slick a private jet that was all done in flat black, and it just looks so badass. And so I started that went on the list, flat black. Interesting. It's kind of like the extra level of badass, like anyone who decks out or murders out their
car or whatever.
It's like, it's super sick if you do it in matte black or flat black. So
yeah, it's almost like a different version of stealth, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, exactly. It's like a stealth fighter. Like, it's all that matter. And I left it to the very last second. They're like, dude, you got to pick a name. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you think of this? And they were like, okay, that's fine. And it's fairly easy to. It's sort of self-explanatory and easy to spell and remember and pronounce. And so it checked off all the boxes. So
yeah,
yep.
There's nothing worse than a name that is. Such an odd name that you cannot for the life of you ever remember it.
Yeah.
It's anything, even a restaurant or something, it's just like, what was the name of that place?
I mean, I remember when Stone Temple Pilots came out, and I was like, what the hell is that name? Like, but
it was kind of easy with STP though.
Well, that's it. STP. Then it morphed into STP, and it was like, okay, all right, that's cool. But yeah, no, I like flat black, and plus that's a very prominent color these days on cars and
houses. Everything.
Yeah. Houses.
A big designer trend is actually painting. I saw the coolest thing. I saw a picture of this Victorian house in San Francisco. One of the, real kind of narrow Victorian style house in San Francisco. And they painted it the whole thing. A charcoal satiny flat black. The whole thing. But the key is not black. It's like kind of a almost a charcoal kind of shade of black, and you got to get the right shade.
And then you
the
can
only
get
thing this looked like something that you would should be in New Orleans or something, and some Dracula's gonna walk out or something. It was so cool. I was like looking at it going, oh
wow,
with the Victorian architecture, and it's so weird. It looked evil.
But it's cool, right? I went
even looks cool as shit. It looked. But
I started a Pinterest board of everything that was flat black, and they had all these crazy things like an ice cream cone flat black with flat black ice cream. Anything was. It just looks so sick.
That's super cool. Well, on to the music though. I mean, your guitar playing is fantastic, Jason. So, how long you been playing? You've been playing a long time.
Yeah. I started playing when I was 6 years old.
That's a long time.
But I think because I'm from a different generation, there was no internet or anything like that when I started playing. So I had formal lessons. I had a teacher come over, and we were doing Mel Bay, Delta Dawn, and all of the the traditional how you start a kid playing an instrument.
Right.
And I can't help but think that I had to learn how to tune my guitar. I had a pitch pipe, you had to, everything had to be old school analog, so maybe that because I had that history, maybe that's what sets me apart a little bit from the more modern, amazing shredder people or whatever. I had to learn the fundamentals.
You had to work hard at it. It's my buddies too talk about this all the time. It's just like, man, when I had to learn a song, I had to sit there with the record,
the
needle,
right, slow it down,
going back and forth. It was so fucking hard.
Yeah, and guesswork. You're like, because you have to listen through the mix, or you're like, I think that's what's happening. And if I have to learn something now, I can just Google it, and there's 100 guys walking you through it with the tab and everything, and it's like, wow.
One or two of them might actually be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
There's a funny thing is like, I don't know if you know who that guy Ben Eller is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ben's a good to get it right generally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember he did Bark at the Moon, right? He was like,
oh, right.
How to play it right. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send this to Jake. Well, did he get it right?
Wow.
Did he? And he goes, fuck, he got it right.
Oh,
he
really?
got everything right. Maybe there's this one little thing, but he got it all right. And
wow.
he was writing me back, and I sent all the correspondence to Ben.
Oh, he must have been thrilled.
He got a kick out of that one.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy.
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Super cool.
I met him on Shiprocked. I was invited to be. I guess it was 2 cruises ago. They did a Van Halen theme Shiprock, and maybe that was it. Yeah, that was it. And so I went and we played a bunch of Van Halen stuff. And I think there was a jam night, a different jam thing, and he was playing bass. I'd never met him before. Him and Andy Wood, these 2 incredible musicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really humbling for us old guys who think you're all badass, and then these other guys, these modern new guys, like, oh my good God.
Yeah, and it's Ben he loves like 80s rock, and Van Halen, 80s metal and stuff, and then you got Andy Wood who loves that stuff too.
Yeah.
But then he'll rip into some incredible chicken picking and
he's a big dude. Yeah.
Andy's awesome.
He's a
good dude.
Come up and jam with me at 11. I'm like,
fuck you.
Yeah, I would say no.
Myself. Yeah, I appreciate the offer, but I don't think so.
a guy that's funny. Yeah, a guy that works for me sometimes is an incredible guitar player. Plays the baked potato a lot, But he's a guy that was in Zappa Plays Zappa, so it's insane. And he's an amazing guitar player. I've never had much, of a career. I mean, he's had some things that he's done, but playing Zappa songs isn't a successful career ever.
Yeah.
But and he's like, yeah, he invited Pete Thorne down, come on down sometime and play. He goes, with you, no fucking way am I coming down and playing.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
I'll come down and see you, but I'm not going to touch a guitar.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the ugly.
You're just going to just leave me in the dust, and I'm going to be sitting there with my fucking balls in my hand.
Yeah, he's so impressive.
The internet is humbling. When I was growing up, when there was no internet, you may have been a hot shot in your small community, and your band plays the only bar in town, and everyone's like, well, you're a really good guitar player, whatever. Right. But when the internet showed up, and then you find that there's a million of you in every little town, and you go, oh, okay, well, I better not. You know who I really like, and you know this guy, Doug Rappaport.
Oh fuck, yeah, Doug's amazing.
Doug's been on the show. Yeah,
that's a good guy. I love Doug.
I actually hit him up a couple of years ago and said, do you give lessons? Because he can do anything. This guy's incredible and great feel and all that stuff. And I mean, he's like number one, man. It's an amazing player.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Yeah, and humbling. And he was like, I'm flattered, but I don't teach. And so I was like, okay.
Oh, I know. There's been a few of those people that I've met along the way. I'm like, oh, do you give lessons? Like, no.
Well, I'm not a good student either, because I've been playing the same four things my whole life. So anything that deviates outside of that.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you know who I asked for lessons? Sean Tubbs.
Oh, yeah?
But he doesn't give lessons. So
who is the, sorry, I did take some lessons here from, and the name escapes me right now, but he was the other guitar player in Racer X. Bruce
Boulet.
That's it.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to learn. I don't, I like to, whenever I see somebody who's really good and much.
You're not the only one that does that. Everyone does that. I have all sorts of friends that are like, hey, let's get together. Can you give me a lesson? I'll pay you. Just like, I just want to learn something new.
Well, back in Canada when I was 17 years old, I was hanging out with Phil X all the time. He would and I'd be like, ooh, let's do that in harmony, and he'd play this crazy stuff, and I'd be like, oh, you gotta show me that.
Yeah.
And then I would put his lick on one of the Death Punch records. He'd be like, hey, that's my lick, man. It's a good lick.
The good lick, thank you.
Yeah.
So I just said to Sean when I asked about lessons, and Sean wrote in the thing, what? Maybe he doesn't remember. It was for my cousin. My cousin lived in Nashville, and I mentioned it to Sean, but maybe at the time he wasn't into it. So I love you, Sean. So anyway, back to you. So were you recently writing music for the album and stuff? Is that what you're working on?
You mean what? I just got back from Nashville. Are you talking about Nashville, or are you just talking about the setup for the Flat Black thing?
I thought you were writing recently from.
It might have been Nashville.
Yeah. I went to Nashville to meet with Gibson. They took my. I have my main. Let's call it the Franken Explorer, for lack of better description, but it's sort of the first one that I had, and it's not here. They kept it, but I guess what they're doing is they're going to do it. They have a way of 3D scanning people's vintage instruments, and then they can replicate it based on the scan, like down to every last detail. So I went there. I was there a couple months ago, and I met with Cesar and the new team over there, and they were like, "We'll bring the guitar back, and we'll build you a couple identical replicas so that you can take them on tour and not have to haul." Mine's pretty beat up. It's a bit of a pig too, so hopefully that's what's happening with Gibson. Anyway, while I was in Nashville, I just asked my manager. I said, "Set me up with some writing sessions so that I can sort of do a couple things while I'm there."
Oh, that's cool. So what year is your guitar that they're replicating?
It's like a 2006 or 7. It's not vintage, but it's the one that I like the best out of all the Explorers that I've acquired. That's my favorite one, and it's got a, I wish it were here, I could show you, but it's totally modified. It has 24 frets. I filled up the pickup hole. I scooped out where your hand goes up, but there's only one pickup. There's only one knob. It's beat to hell. You know, it's got character.
Are they gonna release it as an actual like product people can buy?
Well, I mean, I would certainly like that, but I didn't want to lean on them too hard. I had that with them back in 2013. They did a run of my Signature Explorer, and so, I would like that, but again, back then I was in a much more popular group, and so it kind of made more sense. I don't know if I think where we're starting is they're going to try to provide me with a few instruments that I can use on tour,
right?
And if over the next year maybe Flat Black turns into something bigger, maybe it would make sense for them. But I didn't want to pressure them for that. That's kind of it's a tough ring to get into, because they have like Jimmy Page and Slash and
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I understand. Has Gibson ever made a 24 fret guitar?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything like that. I think they're sort of sticking to the.
Yeah, they normally stick. Dave, do you know that? Happen to know?
I have no idea whatsoever. I don't generally pay much attention to what Gibson is doing. I really don't. It's just not. I've just never been a.
Well, I agree with you. I understand.
I've never been a like a Les Paul guy, so I wasn't. I do like Explorers though.
Yeah, I like Explorers too.
But yeah, but I'd probably, if I had, I'd probably if I was just going to buy anything for an Explorer, I probably would buy a vintage Hamer, or which are super cool, or a like Rick Nielsen.
Rick Nielsen comes to mind.
Kind of thing, yeah. Or the Destroyer. The Ibanez.
That's one I'm still chasing.
Yeah, Pete got in when it was good. Pete Thorne bought one.
Yeah, he's going.
He snuck in and got it for like $2,500, and like a few years ago, and he got it. And
ooh, interesting.
It's backwards though.
It is backwards. It's so no one else can play it.
There you go. Yeah, he snuck in and got that for $2,500, and I'm like, now you look at him, it's like $7,000.
Oh, it's crazy for those
$6,000.
I know. I had a guy, I think it was Joey Allen from Warrant. He had the Ibanez Destroyer, and he and I were talking about, I'll send you one of my Gibsons, the Signature Gibson, in a trade, and he was all into it. And for some reason, I didn't act on it, and came back 6 months later. Oh, I sold it. I should have jumped on that.
You're like, shit.
It's one of the ones I still want.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you just keep looking around. We might find one.
Yeah, as long as you're prepared to get off your wallet, you can pretty much get anything.
You can get it, sure. It's just
the prices are like
like either that, or he's like, well, maybe I could sell 3 of my other guitars and I could put them, put it into that one.
Right.
But is it really worth it at that point?
I don't know. Is it? Maybe.
I have a lot of those impulse purchases in cases in a closet that I never see or touch or open. So, at some point you kind of got to go, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I generally, whenever I am on Reverb and see something, maybe I should get that, I always talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to fucking use it. It's going to sit around. It's going to sit on the wall. Why do I need this? In fact, I should sell some.
Yeah.
It's
here's a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any of your original modded Marcia amps? They're all gone.
I don't even have one.
Okay.
You don't even have like a prototype or anything.
No.
You were modding Marshalls.
Well, no, I mean, like the original ones I made from scratch, but they were they were a standard kind of Marshall chassis and panels and stuff.
Right. So it was your amp, and then you put the Marshall.
Yeah, but I had my own transformers and had all this.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So were you ever rebranding Marshalls and just taking Marshalls? No, you're never doing that.
I would mod Marshalls.
You would mod them, but never rebrand. I got you.
Yeah, I still do.
I have. I went through a period where I was buying amps off eBay, and I acquired a couple really cool amps, and one is a JMP Friedman mod that I used on that metal show, which was a long time ago. But if you look on YouTube and go to when I was on that metal show, you'll see that Friedman modded Marshall.
Oh, cool.
I fucking flew it across the country.
Cool.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a trek.
It's a great sounding head, no question.
Oh, it sounds great.
I have a Cameron modded Marshall, no goop, and that you guys all know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's
thank God it's no goop. Jesus.
Oh, you'd never be able to work on it.
Oh my God, I've had to work on a bunch for people, and
you have to de-goop them,
and it's always sometimes I've had to do that, but it's always more like the shock when you open it. You're just like, holy fuck!
I know. It's like a silicone.
I have a video one I made, and I'm like going, man, I know Mark, and God, it sure looks like he was on meth when he did this. but he wasn't, but I'm like, wow.
Make no mistake, he didn't want anyone knowing what he was doing with his amps. I was like,
oh my God, yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
they figure it out eventually anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Someone finally.
Would you have to pull up all the silicone to get at?
Well, unfortunately, some of those. I mean, I have degooped one before because I had to fix something that was under the silicone.
Yeah.
That was just a poor solder joint that was made, and then he gooped over it.
Wow.
But fortunately, some of the other things were like, broken jack or something simple, broken bad pod or something, and something
outside of the goop.
Not too bad.
Well, I went through a phase where I was just acquiring Marshalls left, right, and center for no good reason other than curiosity. But what I have a Steve Lukather head that Bob Bradshaw modified.
Oh, nice.
With the original road case, and I think it needs a tune-up. It's not the best sounding thing, but I just wanted to have it because Luca's cool and Bob's cool, and it was cool.
You got the greatest amp tech in the world in fucking Las Vegas.
Carl Popek.
Yes,
I knew that name would come up. Carl's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, I love Carl.
My best kept secret.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, do you have an amp guy? Oh, do I? Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, no, he's great. And we're friends, and he always takes care of repairs and stuff for Friedman and stuff. When someone tells me they're in Vegas, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Copy him. Take it here.
Yeah.
Take it here, and he'll take care of you.
Carl he's worked on so many of my amps. He does a little thing. I don't know what he does, but I don't know. He does something with the bias, cold bias, is it, or something? I don't know, but it's just a little extra cool. I don't know. In the other band I was in, it got to the point where I rarely had my hands on my equipment. I had a really a high level tech, and he would do everything behind the scenes, and then I would show up and I'd go, wow, it sounds amazing.
Right.
That's great play.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
That makes it easy.
It sure does. But he used to say, I go, I would I'd say, these amps just sound good, and they'd be like, what's Carl? He does a thing. I'm like, well, what is it? And I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you, but he's saved a lot of my stuff for sure.
Cool. Awesome. So you said you're a gear hound. So what's some of the latest gear you've gotten?
Well, I'll show you something. I mean, I'm almost acquiring 2 or 3 things per week, but okay, so I watched the Tone Talk when you had Bradshaw on, and he was talking about this thing. Do you
Oh
remember?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The
Yep.
M5.
M5. So I don't know anything about this, but because Bob gave it a good review, I just bought it. And I got a chance to try it real quickly before we left on tour. And essentially, it's all your delays, mods, distortion, filters, and verbs. So if you just need like just a one thing that does all, because you built my rig, Dave, so you know there's a lot of loops and there's a lot of space. I was trying to deliberately condense things down, and this didn't get in there in time, but it sure would be nice to have something in front of the head that if I just needed a flanger for one little thing or a phaser or some kind of special mod effect, it's all in there. So I'm keeping it. It's a pretty cool box.
Yeah, they just came out with the HX version. That's that little one effect at a time box that's MIDI and stuff. It's sort of a modernized version of that, but with all the HX effects and stuff.
Better, same.
I haven't tried it yet, but it makes sense. It's just basically the updated version of that, essentially, is what it is. In the HX line. So anything that's in HX stomps or anything that's in that stuff, is.
I tried that Helix thing, and I don't know. I didn't really like it. I didn't love it.
There we go.
Like the big,
the rack.
Yeah. Well, because I have a bad habit. So everything that's new that comes out, I'll just buy it and then try it and then decide, do I keep it or do I sell it off or give it away or whatever. So I have all the Fractals, the Kempers. I just ordered, and I just purely out of curiosity, I ordered the new Fender Toastmaster modeler thing.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that I'm facing, and Dave, I'm a purist with amps, and I'm going to fight to the death to always drag my amp around. But one thing that's going to be coming up next year are fly dates, and I don't really know what the solution for that will be for me. One of the things I was thinking about is maybe getting with you and trying to make a very compact pedal board, maybe the Boss ES8 with some of my things, and then
the Friedman IR-X.
You could do that. Should check that out.
Somebody, and I know I was there and you said you should check this out, but somebody brought that up to me the other day, said it's excellent and it has a tube in it.
It's a tube preamp. It's tube.
So,
and it doesn't sound. The interesting thing about that box is, yes, you're going direct, or you're, theoretically maybe you're going direct, and but it reacts like an amp. It's got knobs. It's like, you want to change something? Okay, I changed it. Great. That you changed the knob. You're good.
It has channel switching too, right?
Yeah, channels. Yeah, it's basically 4 channels.
Can you get it clean?
Clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crunchy.
Crunchier, and crunchiest.
Does it have a loop in the back?
Yes.
Effects. Well, maybe you can sell me one. I'd like to check it out because I don't love doing that stuff. I grew up playing. I had one amp for the majority of my younger years. It was just a Marshall JC made 100, and I would just have a couple pedals, and that was my rig for years and years and years. But the way it responds and everything, you can dry it up a little bit and get dynamics, and it's just I really struggle with the modelers. I know there's a super convenience element to that, but for me, it's like I don't.
You already probably have the best one, which is the Neural.
Okay.
I mean, really.
Okay.
I don't know if
I forgot I have that.
You have that as a backup.
We built it in the rig
as a backup.
We built it in the rig, and everyone's like, "Hey, I thought you weren't using modelers." I'm like, "I'm not. It's a safety, and it's an insurance policy." If the amp blows up, what I have, and if anyone's wanting to know, what I have is we have a traditional amp pedal simplified setup. It's actually a wet, dry, wet setup, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
And but I thought, geez, if the amp blows up, I have a quad Cortex that's running independently of my amp setup, and it's going to front of house in case something dies. In a one guitar player band, it's really bad if the guitar dies.
Yeah.
Like, if a two guitar player band, fine. You still got some noise in the middle. But in a one guitar player band, it's a big fear of mine. Like, well, if I have a collapse, I need to be able to know that something, he can unmute the Cortex at front of house and boom, we're still in business, you know?
Right.
Luckily that didn't happen, but that's why that's there. It's expensive backup.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, people have other, they have an entire other rig in case, for backup sometimes.
Well,
so.
the funny thing is I never got around to programming the Cortex. It's just on one like dirty amp. And so all the clean stuff and all the effects and everything, it doesn't come, it's just one amp to front house. I never got into like, okay, I should try to replicate my effects, get a clean sound because I use cleans. It's dirty. So I didn't have time.
Yeah, I think you might like that IR-X, that preamp, because it'll just remind you of an amp, and it's not,
and it's easy
to feel like you're using.
Is it MIDI?
Yes,
it is MIDI. Okay.
I mean, not every setting, but what's MIDI is the channel switching of it.
That's all I need.
Well, there's also programmable 3-position programmable presence and thumb.
That's interesting.
In there, so you can do that, and also you can change from patch to patch the different IR you're using, which can radically alter the tone. Crazy. How much it can alter the tone, because you can go from, like, say you're going to do something super heavy, maybe you go to an EV, for the speaker choice for that setting, and then you bump up the presence and the thump in it, and all of a sudden it gets this really heavy thing.
Is it? I'm assuming it's got some pretty focused, tight low end.
Yeah, it'll be super tight. Yeah, super tight.
Well,
Marshall-esque, Friedman Marshall-esque, kind of thing.
How do I get one, Dave?
Yeah, we'll talk, and I have to locate one for you, but I'll find one.
Okay.
And
somebody did tell me the other day that it is excellent.
Yeah, it does really, and there's a variety of ways you could kind of hook it up with a variety of things. If you wanted to have a travel thing and you wanted to have a cabinet on stage of some sort, like just a cabinet, you can get like one of those Seymour Duncan little power amps that could go on your pedal board. That they're maybe not the best thing in the world, but they're Sean Tubbs.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, the Friedman IR-X with any multi effects would kill on most gigs. I agree.
Well, that's good to know because it's small. I like the footprint of the Friedman box.
Yeah.
It's still compact, right? You can fly it.
And
you can fly it. You can put a pedal board together with it. You could. Some people are using like the HX effects, and then just pairing it with that, and that's it.
But the
HX effects one, so it has multiple
interesting,
pedal type things and post delay stuff.
Well,
but, it's small, tiny.
Well, this is. I actually didn't even mention this to you, but I had planned on getting with you to try to figure this Fly Date thing out.
Yeah. The other thing you can do with this too is, like, say you have to rent an amp. Here's another option.
Sure.
You can just use that as the front end and just use the effects loop return of the amp. Whatever amp, you can probably get usable results if it's a Boogie or if it's a Marshall or whatever, and you could still have a cab and a head, but at least roughly what it's going to sound like.
Yeah, that's not bad actually. Yeah,
you can do a bunch of different ways.
Any head with a loop, you could access the power section.
Look up on our website. There's some deep dive tutorial things on it that Michael Nielsen did.
Okay,
and you'll see everything it could possibly do in his tutorial videos.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a great box.
Or look at some of the other videos that other people did, like Michael Nielsen or Pete Thorne or something that on the unit. They made it sound great.
Awesome.
And Sean Tubbs.
Tommy Mann, thanks for the super chat. Jason, rippin' goodness. Mark, thanks for your good work. Mr. Dave, love your ear for tone. BE100 Deluxe, PTV2, PTV1, and BE 4x12. I guess that's what he's saying he owns, which is cool. Nice,
great,
nice collection.
That's pretty sick. They tip you.
Yeah, we get super chats, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's how you know our show gets pretty busy at times, and that's how you ensure your question gets answered.
Oh, I see. Right.
Because otherwise, you know, I hate to say, I mean, like we can try to get to everything, but there's some stuff that is just going to get lost.
Are there people asking questions right now? Like as we're going?
Oh yeah. You should be able to, if you wanted to look. There's comments.
Oh, comments. All right.
But you can see what people are saying. There was also a super chat from Stephen Lobo, but I don't see what you wrote. You didn't write anything with it, Stephen. So let us know what you want to ask. There were a few comments already for Jason.
So let's continue talking about the rig, though.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So just to digress real quick, I did try that Seymour Duncan power amp, and I was impressed.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. It
not bad.
It doesn't have like in
the
my
oomph, quite the oomph, but
it doesn't.
But you know what?
The muscle of the tube.
But in a pinch, you know, and for a lightweight thing, I think it is pretty good.
Well, what I liked about it was that I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think that the outputs on the back are speaker emulated.
There is a speaker emulated output on the back, yeah.
Right. So
it's like an analog cab filter of some sort, yeah.
Yeah, so you can use it to power your speakers, but it'll also send a simulated signal to the So
I've never listened to that part, so I have no idea if it's any good.
We hooked it all up here. I have a PA up here and everything. We hooked all it, and I said, that sounds pretty good, actually. It just doesn't have the volume that I like, you know.
Yeah, but your rig, so it, you know, God, I remember it myself. It's a bunch of pedals into the front of an EVH head.
Yeah.
Which EVH head?
Well, it's the EL34 version of the 100 watt.
Okay.
And I have I think there's 3 of them. I have them all. I have the white one, the Stealth, and then the EL34. And I thought that back when I was upgrading my rig with the other band, I acquired every high gain amp out there. I just had them all sent, and that one just had muscle. Like there's no master volume on those heads, right?
Well, not overall master. I did do one for you.
I know. I took it out.
Oh, you took it out? You didn't like it?
It did something unpleasant to it. Like it just, I don't know. It just changed it in some way. But it's like each channel is set for arena level, you know?
Yeah, true.
Like, and it just had a lot of power. And but the one thing that really bugs me about that head is the switching interface. You know, you have to use their proprietary pedal, and if you don't want to use their proprietary pedal, you have to have one of the like Voodoo Lab translators.
Yeah, the little switching element of the Voodoo Lab control function switcher.
You're right, a control switcher, and you know, thank God that thing is pretty solid. But I blew several of those up by just static electricity. Like I have up here, I would touch the thing, and then all the lights won't come on. It's dead.
The Voodoo Lab, really?
The Voodoo Lab guy.
Wow.
It's fragile. So anyone who doesn't know that, got to be careful.
Huh, interesting.
You're statically charged. I blew up 2 or 3 of them and send them back, and I travel with 2 or 3 of them spares on the road. But I don't like having any extra stuff. I would much prefer it. They do this with the 50 watt version of that head. You can just go in, select the channel, and any switcher will switch the 50 watt. So I said, well, can't you just take that part and put it in the 100 watt? And we're like, we can't modify Ed's head under contract. It can never be modified, not for anyone, for any reason, for any amount of money. So, you know,
well, there you go.
Yeah. But
so yes, it was a pedal chain and the switcher. Since I can't remember everything. It wasn't that long ago, and I still can't remember everything.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. And I built there's a duplicate set of the stuff here, so that I can, you know, this rig that you built. I wanted to really know what I liked before, because I've built other rigs. I built one with Bob several years before, and we kind of just did it on paper, like, ooh, you'll really like this, and ooh, you should use my preamp with a 3 channels, and all this stuff. And I learned that that's not the way to do it. You have to like audition. I have all these compressor pedals and drives and all that stuff, and I just put it together with my guitar, with the amp and the speaker cabinet up here. Oh, it's right there. Backwards. It's over there. But anyway, so in front of the head, and I have the new Boss compressor, the CX1 with the chrome plate, and I have all the Wampler Ego and the 1176. I have all of everything. For some reason, that one, because I have a humbucker, like a 15K output humbucker for clean sounds. It needs something to.
Right.
Oh yeah, otherwise it's like.
Yeah, it's a high output situation, and so I went through all my compressors, and I even tried a distressor. Like that's an expensive compressor for a guitar rig, but that Boss, and I have the old Boss blue one, and this new one, I like it because it has a meter on it as well. But that one seemed to just work for my, my pickup is 15.5, K output. It's big. It's a high output. So anyway,
which pickup are you using?
Right now I'm using my own signature Pariah pickup. Sorry, wonderful company out of Canada.
I know Sean. Sean over at Pariah. Yeah, Sean's great.
Super. I just got to meet him for the first time when we were touring up there, but super generous, kind, helpful guy.
Yeah,
and,
Sean's great.
And so he sent me like one of everything. I just went through them all, and I picked this one, and then I modified it a little bit. But what I love about the Pariah is that I go, dude, I want you to distress it like it came up from the Titanic. Like I don't want to, like, he's like, how distressed? I'm like, rust and like mangle it,
Yeah, he's good at that.
Yeah, so I get these boxes of brand new pickups, and they look like they're 100 years old, and I don't know, I think that's cool.
Yeah, he makes great pickups.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think so too, and I think we're probably going to have my version of. I'm using it's the Wharf Face. I'm using his Wharf Face, but I tweaked it a little bit, brought the output down a little bit, and we call it the Warfare. So that's the one.
All right,
awesome.
And I think we're going to have it available next year. It's on the to-do list.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
I can see the questions.
Okay, good, awesome. Yeah, we got earlier, all the way in the front, JD wrote, this was before we even started, I really enjoy Jason's STL Tones amp hub plugins. They're brilliant. Looking forward to this interview. I will say, Adam, he wrote PSA, I went to order one of the cables today and they were sold out. Yes, we sold out those cables like within 2 hours of listing them. We will do another run of 50. Just wait until we get the first run of 50 out. Vinny, I know he's probably getting pounded with cables right now.
What cables are you talking about?
We made a Tone Talk cable out of a particular guitar cable I love called Belden 9778. It's an old industry standard from way back. I mean, it was from the 70s originally.
Oh,
great sounding cable because it has this sort of great mid-range growl to it. It's like distortion friendly. It just has that kind of character. And then it's like sheathed in a nice red and black sheath. I don't know, Mark, do you have yours handy?
Yeah, I can.
See a little braid on the cable, like a red and black blade, which is like a Tech Flex kind of deal. So it's really heavy duty,
Oh, it's
and then no pop end, nitric ends on both ends,
Oh, like with the little.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Really.
Well, I'd like one of those maybe for recording.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get
make, Dave Friedman Christmas list.
Make the day for.
We'll put one down. Put you down for one of the next ones.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And the thing is that what we did too is with these couple runs of Tone Talk cables, we're donating all of it to charity. Too.
Oh, good, nice.
All the profits.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning.
Like a music. What's a
Sweet Relief? Sweet
Relief Cancer Fund for musicians.
That's great.
So, yeah,
that's
For
great.
musicians who are in need, basically. Headfirst amplification. What's going on, Jason? Another Jason. Hey guys, question for Jason on how the 5150s are set up. Do you run a single channel set crunchy and then boost, or are you using them with full channel switching?
It's a good question. I don't go anywhere near the red channel. To me, it's
you mean the blue channel? The blue channel already has too much gain as it is, and the red channel is just
well. Listen, look. First of all, Dave, I have the BE100, and it's a fantastic sounding amp.
Yeah.
And I found out about that amp from the fellow in Mastodon, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, we were touring with Mastodon at one point, and he said, "This is the best head I've ever heard in my life." I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna buy it then. I don't even need to. Good, cool. I have it. But getting back to the 5150, I like simple. So the blue channel, I just dial it where it's still dynamic and it has enough. It is kind of like a Marshall on steroids. And the red channel is way too out of control. And the clean channel is, in my opinion, the best clean channel out of the 3 amps that they released for him. The only how I do boost my solos. I remember Phil X and I would always talk about, especially in a 2 guitar situation, when you step up to do your thing, I want it to pop out,
Right. You have to.
And I think and I always wanted to try his Friedman head because I'm almost positive you built him a boost.
I did, just a volume boost.
A volume boost, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people get it wrong. They think that a volume boost means just driving the front end with a pedal or an EQ, but you can't. A true boost activates level into the power section, I think. Is that
correct?
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So what I do, and Dave, you know this because you built the rig, but we have that Boss delay, which I love, the 500.
Yeah.
The Boss delay on the presets, it allows you to add up to 60 B gain for the patch.
Oh, that's
so when I go to solo, my boost comes from the Boss delay adding gain. It's in the effects loop, so it's adding gain on its way into the power amp. So it takes the preamp and boosts it from the delay and then sends it to the power amp.
Yeah, Jason's rig is a little bit less than traditional on how it was routed. I mean, what else was in the loop? Was it just the DD500?
We have the harmonizer.
And well, no, that was post, right?
Oh, a noise gate, a delay, and the harmonizer.
Yeah, but part of your harmonizers for your wet cabs.
Yeah, it's cockamamie, but
it's divided up.
Yeah, so the H90, the Eventide H90, and I've been using Eventide for a long time, and they sort of pioneered the pitch thing, right? And I didn't. The H9s were so frustrating because you had to get in on your phone and all that nonsense, and I just didn't like that. But when they released the H90, I'm like, okay, now we're talking, because you get basically 2 H9s in the same box. And there's a better menu system, even though it is kind of complicated, as you pointed out when we were mucking with it. But so I have the H90 set up in dual mode. You have to get in there and break it in half, essentially. So it's operating as 2 completely independent pedals. So I got to remember. Oh, so
I almost want to go find the diagram.
I know, it hurts my head too. And I mean, I sketched that thing out with the perfect flow chart. I mean.
Well, yeah. So I think part of your so in the loop of the amp, so you have some pedals in loops into the front of the amp, and then in the loop of the amplifier, you have a DD500 and half of this H90.
Correct. So
mono, just there, right?
mono.
And then a line out is taken, or a preamp out of the 5150, and is fed back into the H90, and left and right out are going to a Boogie power amp that's in his rack.
Right.
And so he has detune on the only thing on the outer cabs that is stereo is the detune.
Correct.
So it sounds massive.
I mean,
and of course, then you have that noise suppressor. Well, you have the ISP decimator that's in the loop of the amp too. That is just everything's dead quiet, and you can just hit one note. And it's just like, bam.
Yeah. Well, I used to try to build these rigs with all this really heavily intensive menu rack studio gear, and that's it's just too slow and too arduous to learn everything. And like I had that the Eventide Eclipse I bought it twice and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't figure it out. So
what's the Eventide?
The Eventide Eclipse.
Yeah.
I bought that to use for the detuning
years
ago, but it's like I can't even figure it out. So I really just want to stick to simplistic pedals, and in other rigs, and I want you to tweak my rig again, Dave. I know this comes as a surprise, but
it did sound great though. I think that whole path worked. It sounded good.
Yeah, but I only get one option because it goes preamp out into the Eventide, and then stereo to the power amps. There's no parallel mixer,
right?
So I can't. The only other option, if I wanted another stereo effect, would be to add another effect behind that in series, and then
right.
I like as much stuff as I can eliminate from the signal path. I think the better. So it goes right from the preamp out of the head into the detune half of the H90, and then stereo out to the Mesa Boogie to the cabs. And it's a very direct thing. It's not blending or anything. It's right detuned to the cabs, it worked out great.
Mm-hmm.
But I found this right after you built the rig. I got this thing.
Well, yeah, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
This thing,
that's fucking great.
Gift from God.
Yes, it is a gift from God. I have one also.
It's a gift from God. I love this thing,
especially for wet, dry, wet, or yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so you're like, okay, it's a stereo digital day. No, this thing sounds unique. It sounds like nothing else. It's an incredible spread delay thing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and so I kind of wanted to get this incorporated into the outside.
Sure.
And so I have Bradshaw sent me another stereo mixer that could be whatever. I have another stereo mixer, and I was thinking about maybe trying to upgrade the rig so that I could have the pitch and the
blended blended together,
right. But I had to keep it small. We're at the beginning of Flat Black, so we don't have semis. I can't take all this stuff around,
Right.
Yeah. Keep it small. But that would be the next thing. I really want that thing in there. I'm
not so sure it was small, but
I know that you should have seen the rig I used to use.
Yeah, I understand, but just like when he says small, I'm not so sure anyone would think this is small.
Yeah, I did. I did. The tour manager like, now you have to understand, next year we're probably going to be pulling a trailer, and you're gonna have to really condense all this stuff. I'm like, okay, call Dave. We'll figure something out.
Sure.
I could do 2 12s on the outside, which I could carry 112 for the center, and then have me 2 12s on the outside. That saves one whole box.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know, but anyway.
Which cabs are you using?
I'm using just the Marshall 1960B Celestion B30.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I have a whole bunch of them, and I keep trying to figure out if there's something better, but I always come back to it. I don't know why, but they sound.
Yeah, it works good.
Yeah. I do have a Friedman cab. I think it came with Scumbacks or something.
Oh, maybe yours did. Yeah.
Yeah, is that a 65-watt speaker?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we use different ones occasionally.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago.
Well, getting back to amps, because I know I had thrown this at you before, Dave, but I mean, I would love to try to make a simple amp that just does the couple things I need it to do. I don't need the red channel.
We could work on it.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd love to just have a good rhythm channel and a good clean channel with the option of a solo boost. That's all I need.
We can make anything you want.
I know you can.
You know, it's just, you know, the thing is with that is like, it's like, bring your guitar, bring your favorite cabinet that you like, that you know, that you're familiar with, and then we tweak into that, you know, with that stuff in mind, you know. And then you go, it's not quite right. It needs a little more of this, a little more of that, a little more pepper, salt, garlic, you know, whatever.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that people have warned me. Maybe it was, my old guitar tech worked for Steve Stevens.
Yeah.
And he said, if you can get into that with Dave, that's great, but you got to understand it's a long and arduous process. The things go back and forth and tweak and back and forth, and it's like it takes time.
It's not that bad.
Everything else is a constant, so I already have all the.
It's really simple. Here's how this would work. You tell me your idea. I build something up that I would think is the idea that you've just described.
Yeah.
Then you come here, which is easy from Vegas. You come here, bring your cab and your guitar, and we sit there and tweak it.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. And
if you were in New York, it might be harder, but you know, you're kind of close. So
I've done this so many times that it's pretty easy for me to know whether we have it or not.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. It's just I like, you know, in my genre of music, unfortunately, I play down in B standard, like that baritone tuning. So that changes a lot of things, because originally guitar was designed to be a mid-range instrument, and all, you know, the harmonics of that frequency group was supposed to be, that's how guitar amps were designed, old equipment for the, you know, AC/DC.
Yeah.
But with baritone, it changes things, because now you have to really pay attention to the low end, because it can overwhelm the low end.
You know? Yeah, it has to be tight. It has to have cut, and often more gain is not what you need. I always find with guys with tuned down guitars, it's more about the cut, the attack and the cut and the brightness and the, you know, how aggressive it is and tight it is. And
yeah, it's got to have teeth. It's got to be focused, because, you know, I there's a lot of really tight stuff that has to be articulate, and it's the hardest part, I think, to get right, because anything that's flubby or fuzzy, it's not where I like. Just think Marshall's so dry and barky, you know. But I need a little bit more gain.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But let's talk about the pedals. I just want to finish the rig where we started.
Sure.
So I have the compressor we talked about, the new one with the chrome face and the meter. I have the Boss, the new octave pedal, which is polyphonic.
Okay.
And that, I have to say, I used Pogs. I love the Pog, which does the same thing. But Boss was like, well, Pog's very popular. We have to make our own Pog, which means they had to make an octave pedal that was polyphonic. And polyphonic, I guess, as for anyone who doesn't know, means you can play multiple notes and it'll try to grab them all. You know,
right?
The tracking is exceptional on that Boss pedal, so I ended up using that for you know, when you kick that thing, it goes, it's nasty. And I have a Greer Lightspeed drive. Do you know the Greer?
Yes, I love that pedal.
Yeah, it's barely detectable. Like,
yeah, but it's got something that's like that secret sauce in there. There's something. Yeah, I really like it.
It's a low gain drive pedal.
Yeah.
And again, Phil X turned me on to that, because I was telling him I had the blues drive and all this stuff, and it didn't sound right. But I use it on the clean channel, just to give the clean channel a little bit of that breakup. I can't do it from the channel, the clean channel. If you start to add the gain, it doesn't sound as good. So I just leave it bare bones clean. And essentially what that allows me to do, it allows me to have 2 clean sounds. If I take the Greer off, I get crystal clean. And if I add the Greer, I get like that sort of breakup AC30 clean.
Right. Yeah, and the Greer can also adds a little high end sparkle to it. Yeah.
It's the secret.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It's the secret sauce, you know? And what else do I have? I have an EQ pedal, right? We did the EQ and the Boss EQ. And it's not that I love Boss pedals, but I tried everything for my setup, and I just picked the ones that sound the best. But the Boss EQ allows me to get like a rolled off. If I need to do like a down verse where I'm playing something and it's not supposed to be full roar, well, instead of me trying to do it with my hand, I can just step on the EQ, which pulls the volume down a little bit, like you've rolled off your guitar,
right?
And like everything's in a loop, and all the switching is backstage. I don't touch anything, so everything's controlled by other things,
by other people.
Yeah. But like when I'm on stage, I mean, I have horrific ADD. So for me to have to step on things, sing, run around, play the solo over here, get back to my pedal board, I mean, it's very difficult for me. So the more automated it is, and I don't touch anything on stage, it's all done.
And it makes life so much easier.
Even something as stupid as like rolling my volume down to play a verse, if I can get the pedal to just yank the volume down or dry it up a little bit for that part, it's all taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, the only guitar player in the band and you're singing.
Yeah, right. And you know what I noticed? Like in the other 2 guitar player situation, I used to throw picks out all night long. But in this band, I can't stop playing that long. I can't. I gotta.
You gotta talk to Yngwie.
Yeah, right.
I saw Yngwie, man.
He manages to do it somehow.
Every 3 seconds, he flicks the pick from his hand and he kicks it.
Kicks it with his boot. Kicks
it with his boot. He's just kicking these picks.
That's impressive.
Yeah. No, he's just, it's so automatic for him. I went to see him do his, he did like over the pandemic, he did like a video performance, like a video they were selling, everyone was doing online video concerts.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went to see him and I was in the front row and all I cared about was like, what's on his pedal board? And he rented every Marshall in Vegas. I mean, everything he could get. I mean, there was just heads and cabinets as far as the eye could see. It was really funny. And but he's running a very simple set. He's got the Dynacomp, his signature overdrive, a Boss DD3 that allows him to do left and right. Like I don't know. It was just very basic. And I loved him for that. I was like, God bless you, man. Just basic, eh?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We have a comment from Rich Thomas. He says, I hope they offer your guitar a replica for the public. Your signature guitars are hard to find. I'll never sleep on them again. Amazing.
Someone else asked what was the Boss polyphonic pedal, and OC5, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I have.
So Stephen Douglas asked that, and because I looked it up myself to refresh my memory what it was.
It's fairly new, but it in my opinion, it beat out the Pog.
Yeah,
and when you step on that, and it allows that, it adds that sub note. It sounds growly. It's cool. It's a cool effect.
I always love octaves of distorted guitar.
Oh yeah,
it's cool shit.
It sounds great too. Yeah,
good trick in the studio as well. Like if I had a part that I wanted to add more weight to, I would record the Pog one noted versions, almost like a bass line, but it would live
under
the guitar and on top of the bass. But it's just that extra layer of
that's cool.
Earth
Yeah.
little trick, and then you just kind of drop it underneath the rhythms, and you can't really identify, but something just got bigger.
Yeah,
Right. That's
that
cool.
makes sense.
Yep. Stephen Douglas, look for a Penco or Greco destroyer. It's an Ibanez with a different sticker.
I kind of want the Ibanez.
Yeah, that's the cool one, right?
Well, it's because it's the only one I don't. It's one of the guitars I want, and I don't.
Several weeks from now, you're going to text me and you're going to go,
Yeah,
I found one.
I know.
I got it.
It's funny because when I play my solos on recordings, I use the ESP Kamikaze, and I never really talk about that, but there. I told George, so I have like 6 of them or something, right? But I never had the blue one, and then so I got this, like, I had to complete the set. So I told George, I said, "Do you have a blue one?" I still don't have the blue one. He goes, "I don't have the blue one." He goes, "Oh, fuck, okay." So anyway, so somebody came through a meet and greet for him months later with a blue one. He goes, "I have someone who will buy that from you right now." And he put me in touch with this guy, and I traded an old Axe Effects for the blue Kamikaze.
Ah, cool.
Yeah,
Nice. Is that body made of maple?
it is. It's hard rock maple, and it's heavier. It's really heavy.
Fucking heavy.
It's really heavy. And
When George used to come in my shop with the original Tiger guitar,
yeah,
first of all, it was heavy as shit.
yeah.
And you're like looking at it, and the whole, like there's like this thick lacquer, and it's all cracked, and like deep cracks like on it. But that guitar, that particular guitar, man, I don't know him and that guitar. I mean, he had, great sounds, but when you heard it in a room in an amp, it was kind of painful.
Meaning,
It was bright,
hard,
strident,
hard sounding, like it was like the humbucker was in stone.
yeah,
like it was like stone. It would be painful.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was his M1 Tiger.
The original, yeah.
Original M1. So
But it was maple. It was maple body.
Okay, I bought the M1 Tiger, and I didn't like it as much.
The one I'm talking about is actually the original Tiger.
Right.
It is actually original.
The original.
He has to still have that, right?
He sold it, but
he sold it to a guy.
Yeah.
But he has rights to use it whenever he wants to.
Joint custody.
It's like a joint custody thing. Yeah, it's like,
classic.
He has a tendency to come up with these people to do this. So,
well, I love George, and I grew up in that whole period of those guys, and so my favorite guitar players were Warren DeMartini, Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch. Anyone who had that real swagger and feel. Yeah. I don't. Greats. Yeah, I don't. I've tried to sweet pick. I don't get it.
No, man, the greats, like I often say, there were a ton of greats, but there were a few standout people, Eddie Van Halen, obviously, George Lynch, Warren DeMartini.
Yeah.
For me, Jakey Lee, actually.
Yeah, Jake's great.
And some people say, "Well, about Steve Vai?" And I'm like, but he's great, but
it was too schooled. It wasn't enough cigarettes.
Yeah. There wasn't. I think there's only a handful of the original guys that were really great. And also people say Randy. I'm not the biggest fan of Randy.
Me either. If you had Eddie Van Halen and Randy, I thought, look, never take anything away from Randy Rose. I mean,
he was great, but
I found that the sound was a little bit more brittle, and the playing was a little bit more rigid. There was something just really smooth and silky about the Van Halen side of that era. And Neil Schon was a huge influence.
Oh yeah, Neil Schon. Was fantastic.
When he played slower,
he played well. When he
really all that classic stuff was just amazing.
Yeah, it was more melodic.
His melodic sense, is where I grabbed a lot of my melodic approach from Neil Schon, because I think that I used to tell people, shredding is cool, but it has to be sprinkled in little bits. Like you don't judge the quality of a conversation based on how many words I crammed into 5 minutes. It's what I said.
Right. Yeah.
Not how much I said.
Which can bring you to Billy Gibbons.
Oh yeah.
Very few notes said, but every note just oozes with fucking cool.
I was into ZZ Top before the big album. What was it? Eliminator?
Eliminator.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really appreciated ZZ Top till later.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why. We're roughly around the same age, and
I hung out with guys that were older than me, and they were always saying, going, you should check out Deep Purple Main Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. Richie Blackmore is like my idol. Love Richie Blackmore because he's so dynamic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it just he just did a thing, and he's all spooky and weird, and I just think he's the best.
Yeah, he went off on the deep end, but yeah, at one point he was really fantastic. Yeah.
I recently got to see ZZ Top. I mean, literally, like within the last month, and everything they do is cool.
Yeah.
I've met him before, in my shop, and
gotta get him on.
And he is just, when you meet him for the first time, it's just like you're like, this is the coolest person I've ever met in my life. Period. Just like the sweetest guy, nice guy, friendly, just everything you could want, But I got to see them recently. I've actually never seen them, and I got to see them recently, and man, everything about it, the stage, the way the amps look, the magnetones on the back of the stage have this whole like color coordinated look, and you're like looking at them going, God, that looks cool. The mic stands have double Z's going all the way up them, and you're looking at the mic stands, you're going, fuck, the mic stands are cool. What the fuck? It's the mic stands. It's just like fucking cool. The outfits they had were like a nod to like the nudies Western outfits, but in all black with like the colored, the ornate kind of thing. And you're looking at them going, man, that's like really cool too. I mean, for what they're doing,
Well, they got,
and then the guitars. And I see he had this SG with that Flying V headstock on it, which is this bizarre looking guitar, and it was black and it was aged, and he had what looked like almost like gold foil pickups in it, but I don't think they were gold foils, but they kind of looked that way. And you see it on the screens that were on the side of the stage. You're just looking at the guitar going, I just want that guitar. It's just like, wow, that looks cool. But every note, he's almost uncomfortably behind the beat. But he made it work, and it was in this cool, greasy, weird way. And you're just like, after you got used to hearing it, then you were just like, oh my God, that's so great.
Which is probably a lot harder to replicate. I mean, some guys just have that where they're deliberately,
playing
with the time.
It's not so tight, and it has had like a sex appeal to it.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, like 5 notes was just like, oh, that was great.
I've never seen ZZ Top, but it turns out that my new manager manages ZZ, and we were talking about ZZ the other day, so I will get to see them.
Oh yeah, you should see it. It's cool. It's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, Billy.
It's cool, and hopefully you get to meet him because he's fucking amazing.
Well, that's what I've heard. And
amazing person.
This is the blanket statement is that just being cool to everyone is the secret of life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
really true.
It's true. It is.
Yeah, gets you a long way. Yeah.
I will say I've matured a lot over the years. When I was younger, I didn't get it. And when I was younger, you just didn't really realize how important it is, relationships and and being cool to people and just being nice.
It's the only thing that matters.
Right. Yeah.
We're not we're not. It's music. It's the music business. All these people take it so seriously, and they just lead with an edge and in a I don't know. My whole thing is just that I've been very blessed. I've had a lot of good fortune, and I'd like to think that a lot of that comes from maybe your reputation, where you go, oh, he's fine. You don't have a problem with him or whatever.
Exactly.
So I just practice that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The successful musician is the one that can get along with everyone.
You're telling me.
And like and hang and be, be that guy, just the guy that giving a little grief to everyone is not going to get the gig next time around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Lukather when he came on, and he was like, working with everybody, and it was because he was just so fun to hang out with, and just a, great guy to be with. So that goes a long way. Stephen Lobo, he did send a question. Hey guys, question for Dave. Would you consider releasing a version of the IR-X with an integrated Class D power amp?
No, it'd be too. The way I want to do, all right, there might be a time when a power amp exists, a separate one, or at least we've talked about that. So I'm not saying we're doing it yet, but we've talked about it, and I have a couple ideas on what I want to do with that. But it's just too much to pack in the pedal and make it work. I mean, if you look and make it somewhat small, if you look in an IR-X, it's full. If you open the bottom, it's full to the brim. There's nothing else that's going to go in there. So it can only get bigger.
Would you ever consider making a Friedman power amp that would suit sort of like the wet, dry, wet people?
I've talked about this, yes.
Yeah,
talked about this, and I would because I think there's a hole in the market for a rack mount power amp that even for guys that doing fractals and things,
yeah,
because the Matrix power amps that were around aren't being made right now.
I went through that whole Matrix power amp thing, and
yeah, they're okay.
They're okay. The appeal of that was, I think, the weight.
Correct. It was 5 pounds.
Yeah, it was,
and that was great because it was a switch mode power supply. So, and it was a Class AB amp.
Right.
So it had some guts, unlike a Class D amp, but it was light, which would be great to do.
I think I would like to see you pursue something like that, because the power amps that I've always used are the Mesa ones. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they make them anymore. The 290.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
You know what the hot tip is, though?
What's the hot tip?
For if you're looking for a solid state amp.
I don't like solid state, but go ahead.
This would be good. Especially for like the kind of situation you're doing. So the power amps that are made for studio monitors, the CLA, Chris Lord Algae monitors that they do now, the NS10E kind of things. Well, they make power amps also under Avitone makes power amps.
Oh.
And there's the CLA 100, which is a single rack space power amp. A limited amount of power to that. But then there's 2 other ones that go up from there. And those are pretty ass-kicking, punchy.
Really?
Really good sounding power amps
for a guitar setup.
Yeah, like good sounding, like the old H&H power amps were.
Oh, okay, that's something I was always curious about too, because obviously studying Ed's rig and those big monster things. Are they all what they're cracked up?
They were great. Yeah, they were great. Yeah, they were really good. Especially if you were slaving ahead or doing a wet dry wet thing, it would just replicate the same exact thing in the wet cabinets. And in fact, Steve Stevens at one point in time was doing that, right? And he got it in his head that the H&H's didn't sound as good as the dry cabinet. So we actually set it up and recorded all three cabinets dry, right? So just all three cabinets dry with no effects on, and then listen back to what
Yeah.
and it was like, never mind.
Oh,
They sounded exactly the same.
Oh, that's interesting. But they weigh 1,000 pounds, and they're
They weigh 1,000 pounds. They're not made anymore, But this, I mean, the closest thing I found that's really good is this Avitone thing. It's really great.
Oh, this is that power amp that they for the studio speakers.
Yeah, they're made for the studio. For the passive Chris Lord Algae NS10s.
And they have a one rack. That might be good.
Well, that's good. That's good if that's enough power for you.
Well, I don't know.
It's loud. It's loud. It's pretty loud. So I don't know.
I had a backup power amp in the rig that you built.
Yeah.
As a safety, one rack space. It was the old Rocktron 300 something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not what I would prefer to use, but it'll get it done if you blow up your power amp. And it had that power amp does have a resonance control that would add a really cool sub beef that no other power amp has. But it is solid state, and it's about 6,000 pounds. But that's the one I have. But maybe I would trade that one out for this one.
This one's really, really good. Really, really, really good. I've recommended to a few people, and they've been overwhelmed with how good it was.
I've seen them for sale on Reverb too.
How much?
They're not.
I mean, they're not expensive.
$499 for the 100.
Brand new is like $500 or something for the power amp. It's like.
Yep. By the way, I have a picture of Ed playing on a computer with the H&H power amp powering his on the floor there.
Powering the studio monitors.
Yeah. And
oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
On the floor there.
Now,
yeah, they had fucking tons of those things.
Now, I've seen this picture, and it's really fascinating and important for the pure fact that that's Eddie Van Halen using plugins.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. That's a weird one, isn't it?
It's almost like if I were him, I probably never would have had that photo.
I don't know if he actually ever used them, but he was probably just trying it out and checking it out.
Well, I heard the story behind this picture is that it was when some like kids came over, or like there was friends of family or something like that. So he was showing people something, and it was probably just easier to plug into the computer. Probably.
So check this out, Mark. So Jason earlier in the private chat on our thing sent a link to an Instagram video of the rig sounding really cool.
Oh yeah, am I able to share that?
Well, you should be able to bring it up on your screen, and you should be able to share your screen, I think.
Yes. Okay, let's give that.
And that might be kind of fun.
Yeah, because you can hear what an amp
does. Can hear what an amp sounds like, and not a modeler.
Super singy, and that's the blue channel.
I mean, it's his music, so it should be okay.
Here, let me sign out of that, and let's see if I can.
You gotta.
Well, the audio. Click on the audio. It's muted.
Let's play one.
That might not be the best. Well, we're not going to hear it here very well.
Can you hear it? Were you able to hear that?
We're able to hear it. I mean, it kind of underwater a bit, but you know what? Go to Jason's Instagram and you can probably find that clip if you want to really hear it.
When you heard it before we went on the show, it's like that's the difference.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we went on the air. The difference between having an amp on stage with a real cabinet versus a quiet stage or quiet stage with modelers. I mean, there's a couple differences. So you can have a quiet stage, but you still have amps and they're just off stage. Or you could have modelers. Now, the cabinets on stage makes a huge difference. And if you've ever gone to a show where it's multiple bands and you see one that has real amps, and then the next band has no amps on stage, no matter what, the real amps will always sound better. There's even if it's a big place, you can still hear that stage volume. There's something missing in the middle without it. You know what I mean? Like, and
night and day.
I unfortunately had to go to see. My wife wanted to go see Guns N' Roses. I'm like, I don't really want to go see Guns N' Roses. It's like, come on, and so someone offered me some free tickets, and I'm like, there was a nice box seat at the Hollywood Bowl, so I'm like, okay, all right, fine, I'm going. Oh, because I've heard the Black Keys were opening up.
Okay.
So I'm like going, well, I want to see the Black Keys. So
well, that's going to be real amps.
I'm in. Exactly. Now this is my point. So Black Keys had an extended band. They had a bass player, they had another guitar player, they had keyboards and a percussionist, and it was real amps, loud on stage. Like gnarly fuzz tones and stuff. And you're watching this thing, and you're like, holy shit, does this sound good? Like everything sounded great. Like everything sounded great, and the vocals were great and the soulful and great. And you're listening to the songs and you're just like, man, this is awesome. This sounds listen to that fuzz tone. Holy crap. Just like, like just gnarly, like it's going to explode, and you're just like, that's awesome. Awesome. What a great band to see live.
Oh
yeah.
And then Guns N' Roses came on.
Give us some feedback, Dave.
And Guns N' Roses are all their stuff's off stage, so the cabs are off stage, right? Okay. So there's no stage volume at all, and just that alone, other than lots of other issues, but just that alone, it's just like, it wasn't great. And I must say that show had possibly the worst sound of any rock band I've ever seen. It was just awful. I didn't know what was going on. It seemed like the sound guy was on crack or something. I don't know. Like just like things were popping out of nowhere really loud. Vocals and drums were just like way out front, and the guitars are way down low. Poor Richard Fortus is sitting there. You can see he's rocking out and playing great, and he's a great guitar player, and I couldn't hear a note he played.
That's why you need a boost.
Not a note. Not even soul. No rhythm. No nothing.
Nothing. Oh,
nothing.
Wow.
The bass was entirely lost in the mix too, because it was like it blended in with the subs, and you couldn't hear a note. You gotta have some grind, and you gotta have some mid-range in the bass. You know what I mean?
I saw Rolling Stones at the T-Mobile here in Vegas, and the honky tonk, the honky tonk woman. Yeah. I'm trying to explain to my wife. I go, that you're hearing the Rolls Royce of the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those guitars were crystal clear, chimey, rich harmonics.
Well, here's the weird thing. It was their sound guy.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what happened. It went from the Black Keys being utterly amazing sounding on the same exact venue, same PA, same everything.
Oh, wow.
To like, what happened? What the hell happened here?
And let's just not even, disguise the fact that Axl just is not good anymore. It's just not
good. He can't sing anymore.
No, it's just bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
I
that's a whole
saw
other thing.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God. Yeah. We saw Wolfgang Mammoth open for Guns N' Roses.
I did too, here at the Allegiant Stadium. And okay, so here Mammoth, and I love what he's doing, and I think it's fantastic.
Amazing, yeah.
Real rock and roll band. The kid's super good. But he rolls out in the stadium with a half stack.
Yeah.
And a pedal board.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm like, God bless him.
Yeah, he's He keeps it simple.
Yeah,
Right, Dave? You did his pedal board, Dave. Right?
Yeah. I've done two
okay.
pedal boards for him. Yeah, I did his stuff when he was in Van Halen too, with the bass rig and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was he using? What was he using? What was he using? The Ampegs?
No, he uses. He used Van Halen. He used Fender bass something. Fender. It was Fender's equivalent of an SVT. It was like a 2-channel bass amp. That was a big Bertha of bass amps.
I see.
Can't think of the name of it right now. The Super Bassman, I think.
Hmm.
And it was Fender's version of SVT. Big power tubes, big girthy sound. One channel is more overdriven and one is not, cleaner.
His bass.
Great sounding bass amp if it keeps working.
Did you worked on? You had Ed's Holy Grail Marshall through the.
I restored Ed's Holy Grail Marshall.
Yeah, how was that?
Well,
How does it sound?
that's sort of fucking surreal. You know what I mean? Like, you get to that point and you've now restored this amp, right? And because I had some ideas I was allowed to really run with it because I had some ideas of things I read and things that were said in over the years about this amp and what I know about this era amp and what it should be. And I wound up just kind of doing what I thought was the right thing to do.
Were you nervous?
Well, I don't know if I was nervous as much as, hey, this is fucking cool. I restored it actually because someone had rewired it with Teflon wire inside the amp at some point in time. So I actually gutted another vintage Plexi Marshall for the wire.
Oh, really?
The original wire back in his.
No, really?
Yeah. We got pretty geeky about this, right?
That is geeky.
And when I was done and he tried it out, he said that's the best it sounded in 20 years.
Oh, that's good.
So at that point, I was like, well, there's nothing else to do now.
Right. I can retire.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, you're done. Is there a bigger pinnacle? Is there a larger, is there something? No.
Well,
it's like the Holy Grail amp of all time.
You could have sold tickets.
Was sitting here. There are a few people I knew that actually wound up playing through it. Like that I knew closely. Just like, can I come over right now?
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
I would have been one of them.
I
would line up and pay money for it.
Yeah, and it sounded. I later actually made a duplicate.
Did you skip it?
Took another amp of the same era and did everything exactly the same.
Was it modded?
And I got to A/B the two with an amp switcher where I was clicking between the two, so I really knew it was exactly the same.
Was it? Did it have was it modified in any way?
Not really. No. I mean it. There was a slight capacitor change on something, and it just it had a 50K mid pot, which normally it's a 25K. A couple little tiny things,
but nothing that would add tons of gain.
No, it operated like a stock amplifier.
So the replica, you made a replica and you implemented the same.
Everything the same, yeah. But I didn't make a replica. I took another old Plexi of the same era, close to the same serial number, and did the same thing.
How much you want for that?
Well, I don't have it. they have it. So
for that, okay.
By the way, did you ever sell that Jose, Dave?
I still have it here.
You still have it? You haven't sold it?
No, it's gonna go to that person. So.
Does it?
I didn't know you sold it.
Does it have mojo? Is it a thing? Because I know there's a big hype about the Jose modded Marshall. Is it cool?
I mean, it's great. I mean, I don't think, I mean, I've been in so many Jose's right now. I mean, like I 100 or more probably.
And
yeah, they're great. Some are better than others. I mean, I don't think it's the end all be all. It's not anything, it was, he did a really good job for the time frame he was in. It sounded really good for the time frame. And some of them sound really good. John Sykes amp sounded really good.
Oh, okay. There's another great.
That's the other monster too.
Yes.
So yeah.
I mean, Sykes. Awesome.
Yeah. I worked on his amp a while back. So I love.
And Git of the Day says Steve Stevens and Neil Dorado. Well,
but like I said, there's probably 10 or 12 really amazing guitar players, but there was their 5 upper echelon ones of that era. That was a hard pick. I mean, Eddie, George. I'm probably gonna forget someone.
Would you put Luke in there?
Warren. Luke is great, but no, I don't.
Not genre. Right.
Yeah, Eddie, George, Warren. I love Jake. That's in there too because I think he's had such an interesting style.
Great rhythm.
And Monster, yeah. And maybe the 5th one's Sykes.
Sykes is heavy duty.
Maybe that's the 5th one.
Unless
I'm forgetting someone.
See, for me, I would put Alex Lifeson up on the list.
Yeah, but he's not that. He's not. I mean, yes, of course, he's great, but he's not that caliber of that
really,
guitar
shredder
hero.
The
flashy guitar hero.
Okay,
he's more 70s. If I think of Alex Lifeson, I think of the early Rush records. Moving pictures and stuff where he's playing the 335 or whatever, and he's amazing, no question. But I'm thinking about like the 80s guys that really had that beautiful slinky vibrato and their choices of the stuff.
And all those guys had tones.
Yeah,
too. It's like crazy tones.
DeMartini
is one of my favorites, and he just evaporated.
Yeah.
He's around. I go to dinner with him every so often. Really? Yeah. I've talked to him a few times, but he's very, he's very introverted and
quiet.
Yeah. It's interesting when you get him out,
get some sake down him.
Yeah. And then he starts telling stories, and he's funny as fuck.
Well, next time
the stories that he tell are so animated in the way he tells them. It's just awesome. It's just that doesn't go anywhere.
I watched the Bo Hill Tone Talk.
Yeah,
and I knew I worked with Bo for many years when I first moved to Los Angeles. I had put a band together and he was producing and all that. But one thing I found was interesting that he mentioned that Warren played through was it a Princeton that he wanted to do all solos on that little Super Champ. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, so what I do is I start looking for Super Champs from 1982.
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't do it. I mean, do I need that?
It's so funny you say that because I did the exact same thing. I remember writing Dave going, "Should I buy this?" And you were like, "You really don't need it."
Yeah,
it's cool, but do you really need it? And I was like, "Yeah, I probably don't need it." Yeah. But yeah, I was going down that rabbit hole also.
I still want your 50-watt small box, Dave.
Yeah.
You go, yeah.
That's a
I'm sure you do.
Randy Price, Jason's live rig on this past tour sounds like a more aggressive balance era EVH rig to me. It's massive sounding. Can't wait to see Flat Black in Atlanta, hopefully next year. Loving the new tunes.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And
well, Dave, you've made a great rig. I've screwed it up a lot in the past. But remember I called you, I go, Dave, what's this little circuit board that you've
little
on the back of this thing? What is this?
The isolation transformer.
I'm like, what is that? You're just a genius, man. It was Steve Stevens, and I don't know Steve super well, but I was at dinner with him with friends one night, and I said, I want to get Dave to do my rig. And he goes, there's nobody better. It will be silent and it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
It'll be spendy. We said it, there's nobody better. So I'm really happy with it. You did a great job.
Man, it just, like when you talk about spendy, it's like, think about how much you spend on the gear. You know what I mean? It's like, often people forget first of all, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's not like, so say your average rig will take you 20 hours, let's say, or something to put together, a rig, and it's 20 hours, man. It takes 20 hours.
Well, plus you've discovered all of the potential pitfalls and hurdles and problems that you can circumnavigate.
Correct. It's like, oh yeah, I can change my toilet in my house or my plumbing that broke under the thing. I can fix that, right? And then it takes you about 5 times longer, and then you fuck it up, and then your whole house is flooded.
Exactly. I have no interest.
And meanwhile, the plumber comes out and fixes it in an hour, but you pay him a big amount of money. Well, that's because you paid him for his experience,
right?
You're paying him for his experience.
And it actually wasn't expensive. It's just what Steve said.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like in a few rigs that he's built in the past have been pretty expensive, like way
complex.
more than yours, because they were a lot more. But yeah, it's
you pay for the best.
Well, I'm a quality snob, and so I actually don't really care what it costs. I just want it to be bulletproof and to be quiet. I don't want humming, this ground hums and all that crap. What I thought was really interesting, Dave, was that you ran the pedal power through a guitar cable.
Well, that was an interesting one. So we used so you had the Voodoo Lab pedal power 3 in the rack, and there's an expansion port right in the rack, and you that goes to a little, you had a couple pedals that are on the floor, right? You had to power 2 pedals or whatever.
That shit didn't make it past rehearsal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I went to all this trouble for nothing.
Well, a lot of it starts up here, and then
Okay, so he wants to power these 2 pedals on the floor, right? And so to do that, you have to run power down, and I was going to run it down to the little expansion box on the board, which made sense. It was easy to do, and I don't like running AC down the line because it causes noise if you run it in with audio cables, like 120 volt AC.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, this is a good idea. Until we turned the rig on, and we ran it on a 1/4-inch cable, which normally always works perfectly fine. You can run DC down a 1/4-inch cable. It's easy connection. Can't lose the cable. Well, it was noisy. The loop for the snake was noisy. And I'm like,
stuff.
And I'm like, why is this noisy like this? This shouldn't be this noisy. I had never done it with this expansion port, right?
Okay.
So what we come to find out is the digital expansion signal that's running down the snake is causing the issue, the proximity of it to the audio cables in the snake.
Okay.
And I'm like, how am I going to fix this? And then it dawned on me. I'm like going, oh, I can use a TRS cable where the power is running down the 2 center conductors. But on one end, I can ground the shield that's running down the cables. So it shields that power line down the snake. And I'm like, that might work. Let's try it. It was easy to implement. And we tried it. And Jamie that works for me goes, holy fucking shit, it worked.
That's where it comes down to like that's
that's just
years
knowing
of
though. I had
right.
the solution in my head right away, and I was just like, I think this will work. Let's try this.
That's
And
the first
sure enough,
time
it
you
worked.
ran power down like that to the front?
Off the pedal power 3 and the expansion port. Normally we would run power down just off one of the normal outputs.
Right.
But I wanted the little isolated box for the two pedals that were down at the floor. It wasn't just one pedal or something, so I needed isolated outputs. So that's the first time I've done that.
All you
now I know better never to do it.
This is why you go to the. I'm pointing over here today. This is why you go to the pros, right? Because that's what the experience brings.
No one would ever figure that out.
No
one ever figured. You know, a tech would try to put that together, and it's like, oh, I don't know what hums. I don't know. I'll put a pedal power down there, and it'll be okay.
Well, I used to take electrical tape and cover the rails in my rack to try to get the hum, and you're like,
yes, I know. Yes, I know, because I had to take all that shit out of the rack that showed up.
I know. I don't want to mess with this anymore, Dave. Just fix it and make it great.
I like looking at this. I go, what the fuck is on? Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I knew it. I'm like, he'll figure it out. I don't want to mess with this anymore. I don't want to tape up the rails and all this crap. You laughed at me you're like, yeah, that's not how you do it.
Well, the problem with that kind of thing is it's always like when it rattles around in a truck for a while. Guess what? Something touches something, and then you're like, oh, the buzz is there again. Okay, what did I do?
Oh, I have a tech question for you. Here, and maybe you'll be able to figure this out. It shouldn't be that difficult, but so I roll with the two heads.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to make a duplicate panel for where, like, if one head blows, you could just flip a switch and all those inputs go up to the backup head?
Is there a way to do it? Sure. Is it cost effective to do something like that? Probably not.
So the best way would be to do a duplicate breakout panel, and if the head goes down, you just unplug and
yeah, that would be. But at that point, you can unplug the back of the amp almost as quick. So
my tech though was like, I did blow up a tube on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
So for half of the show, I was only coming out the outside cabinets, and that was not fantastic. But he was too freaked out to go and start pulling everything out of the back of the head.
Okay. Yeah, we could do another panel and just move the cable, sure.
Yeah, just little jumpers like.
Yeah, because you can do a switcher that would switch, but
more stuff.
God, it's really elaborate to do it, and as many connections as you have to make and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think it's worthwhile to do that. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's one more thing to break. It's like a computer in a car. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The simple computer, the simple car always works, but the car with the computer is the one that has issues.
Well,
know,
I don't know if we mentioned it also too, but I had loops inside of the effect loop of the head.
Yes, you did.
Right. So I could
take the delay in and out, and to take
the
other part of the Eventide in and out.
Right. So I could pull things in and out of loops that we're sending and returning to the head loop.
Mm-hmm. Zeke Downey, thanks for the super chat. Dave, thank you for sending out my JJ100 so quickly and doing the mods. It'll be delivered tomorrow. Thanks for taking care of me. Awesome,
man. Thank you for paying me.
Dave, your list is good, but it misses the great Vivian Campbell.
Well, yeah.
Was Matthias Jabs an influence? Love your work.
Not really, but I thought
he's great though.
He absolutely great. Another Explorer player, and Scorpions are awesome, and great player. I was just thinking about, who else had sort of that little slinky kind of cool thing was Scotty Hill from Skid Row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Skid Row. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they were Scotty Hill and who's the other guy?
Dave the Snake.
Dave the Snake, yeah, Sabo,
A
right?
good friend. Yeah, Dave the Snake.
Mm-hmm.
There's another fantastic human being.
Oh yeah,
Sweet as the day is long.
that's cool.
Yeah. All those guys, really.
Nicole Johnson, thanks for the super chat. She says, Jason, play something. This is it's called Tone Talk, so he he doesn't have to start performing.
Okay, watch this. Okay.
Well, you just did it better than Joe Satriani.
I can't play it on acoustic the way because it's all this shape.
Yeah.
You got to be able to get all that the rakes, right?
Yeah.
And I love Joe. I don't know Joe, but I felt for him because to be going through a modeler in the early morning and trying to whip Van Halen tuned down to D and all that stuff, and I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah, that was tough, and I fell for him too, and I think a lot of people taking shots at him were just idiots.
They'll get it together, you know.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be awesome. I've seen Joe play some insane stuff, so the guy's a monster. You know, he was just put on the spot. He was nervous. They hadn't practiced. You know, Sammy kept saying that this was like a rehearsal for them. So
that's a rough to go out there and play a tour.
That's rough.
That's rough, dude. I wouldn't, you know, I thought I thought Phil X would have been the perfect choice.
He would have.
Yeah, because you know, Phil eats and breathes Van Halen.
Yeah.
And he's just such a well-rounded musician, and he does cop ed stuff really accurately.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Satchel.
I'm glad they're going to do it.
Me too.
Somebody needs to do it. Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Sammy. I really like those records. I know a lot of people are like Dave, not Sammy, blah, blah, blah. I love the Sammy records. I thought they were wicked.
They've grown on me. Look, at the end of the day, it's all Van Halen. And so, you know, anything that I can get, with the exception of Van Halen 3, I still can't do anything with that. But everything else the guy Eddie ever did, just to me, is just amazing. So
yeah, I'm a freak fan for sure.
Well, thanks for breaking out 5150 for us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, a poorly executed acoustic version of it. Yeah.
Hey, it's funny you broke that out because I've actually been trying to learn that. I know the intro like that you played, but when it comes to the verse, that part,
well,
I haven't learned that yet.
That's
a feel.
Was that on Transtrim?
You know, I don't know.
Because I think he played the beginning and then I think, was that the Transtrim guitar?
Maybe.
It might have been. I thought that was on Summer Nights.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, he did use that for sure on Summer Nights.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. I think it was in D. So when he goes down, it might have been in drop D. So
you're probably right.
I think.
I should know this, but it's been a long time since I've...
You know, it's with all that stuff, it's all about the feel, and the problem is it's hard to replicate the feel of Ed and Alex and stuff, and this is why most people fail miserably at it.
You can't have too much gain if you're going to play Van Halen.
No, you can't, and Joe's going to have too much gain. I mean, Joe's a great guitar player, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think he's right for that. Not at all. I actually don't think Jason Bonham is right for that.
I agree with that. I mean, he doesn't have Alex's swing, so
no.
But you know, look, like you said, at least someone's doing it, and they're going out and celebrating.
Yeah.
And Sammy can still sing, and you know that some of the songs are tuned down to D, and you know.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the song's tuned down to D. Sammy sounds really fucking good.
Yeah,
I mean, like vicious, like awesome.
He still got it.
Yeah, he does.
I love Sammy because he's happy. He doesn't overthink stuff. He's just out there
having a good time.
Yeah, like I'm gonna fill my life up and be happy and spread love and be generous and cool with everyone. I mean, that's a good role model. I think I like saying.
Absolutely.
And he's a hell of a singer.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those records were crazy good.
I love his solo stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Can't Drive 55.
Oh yeah.
Heavy metal. There's only one way to rock.
I saw Sammy at concert when I was a kid. Can't Drive 55 tour.
Pre Van Halen then.
Yeah, pre Van Halen.
Oh, that's cool.
Right before.
That's
great.
cool.
Yeah. Joe Louis Arena in Detroit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was huge then. John Gallagher, Jason, what channel did you use on your EVH 34? I think you said the blue channel, right?
Yeah, I really only mess with the blue channel. I don't really understand the red channel. But it's another channel. I just want one good sounding ronk. That's all I need. And then the clean channel's good too.
Antonio Gonzalez, first time watching you guys live. Great show and great work, Mark. Oh, thanks. Greetings to Jason and Dave from Argentina.
Well, hello.
Hi.
All right, Michael Mitchell. How do you get the cables? We
don't have any right now.
We don't have any right now. We've sold out on the first batch. It's signummusic.com, but you're gonna have to wait till we do the next batch. So, and Jason already has one on the line.
I'm first in line. I got my Friedman Christmas list.
Does anyone know how to get the DD500 to pan left and right? The way I had it set up with the DD500, depending, I had two channels. So one was going to the left channel, one was going to the right channel. And I had them both on at the same time.
It's a stereo digital delay, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so
I had pan.
Yeah, and you can get into the parameters and send the left to the right.
Yeah, you just have to get into the parameters, and you're able to put it's like L something, and you put it 100% to the left, and then you go in L, and you go 100% to the right, and that way you have it panned.
Can I do a shout out?
Yeah,
sure.
So I recently befriended this Canadian engineer, Chris Baseford. Do you know the name?
I know the name.
Chris Baseford. So, and he also has a YouTube channel, and I see he's asking a bunch of questions here, but he's advanced, and he's a mix engineer, and he did a lot of work with. Well, his recent claim to fame was that he produced the last couple Nickelback records. But he would be a great guest to have on your show because he is just as geeky about all that stuff as we are.
I'd love to have him.
Yeah, and He's got a lot of really cool tips and tricks and insight on how to get sounds in the studio and gear and all that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there you go, Chris. I see you.
I'm looking for his what's
Chris
his name?
Baseford. Chris Baseford.
Yeah.
Chris Baseford.
Baseford.
So he says favorite Van Halen tune, song or album?
Favorite Van Halen tone, it says.
Oh, tone. Sorry.
Tone. Well, I think that Fair Warning is probably for me.
That's my favorite.
I mean, come on. That whole Fair Warning business was amazing.
I'm the odd man out. I'll go for Van Halen 2.
That's also
because it sounds like the amp's going to explode.
Right. But they're going to be.
And I think in general, Van Halen 2 as an album as a whole, drums, bass, and everything sound particularly good. Where some of the other records were weaker on the drums or strong on the guitars. Fair Warning, of course, is a great sounding record. But that was a little less of the PAF-y sort of sound, and it was a little hotter than Fair Warning. It's just like, I think it was a hotter pickup, to be honest.
Interesting.
And yeah.
Gibson, I was just at Gibson, and they say they actually have the humbucker from the Frankie guitar, and then they cloned it and they sell it as whatever they call it.
They have the pickup?
That's what they just told me.
I don't
and they're like,
so
really? I can tell you. Okay, so apparently what I know is that Jim DeCola,
Mhm.
who works at Gibson. He's like the headmaster luthier guy there.
Okay, yeah.
He came from
Right.
Peavey, and he designed the Peavey Wolfgang with Ed. And so apparently he has a broken pickup that Ed gave them to make, like, a pickup for the Peavey Wolfgang apparently. So what I heard was that he has that pickup with the broken bobbin or the broken coil, whatever is wrong with it. And that I heard that they use that as to make this new Kramer Eruption.
That's it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that I think what they included in the story is that they said, we're done with it. We'll send it back to you. He's like, I don't give a fuck either. It's so Ed. But
absolutely.
But everyone's making, a Pasadena pickup or whatever. So
yeah.
I don't know. My live pickups are fairly high output, so I don't think it would be the same.
You ever try the Warren DeMartini pickup?
Oh, I didn't even know he had a pickup.
Yeah, he's got a Seymour Duncan signature pickup, the
RTM.
RTM. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's like 18K. But it sounds, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But it sounds great. It sounds great. I've got it in one of my guitars. I actually have it in my Cali and my Friedman Cali. Yeah, it's a really good pickup if you want to try it. Yeah.
Well, I find that the higher output, it is a little harder to get it focused and tight. It drives the preamp so hard.
It's true.
In the studio, I use when I'm recording in the studio, I use P90s, which I was talking to, Phil X was like, they just cut through. You just need a little bit of that more transparent grind. And the solo guitars, they have a Screaming Demon, which is like 10K output.
That's not a lot. Screaming Demon.
It's not a lot, right? But that's what I'm saying. When I'm recording, I find that the high output pickups just put too much out. Like, you still need to hear sort of the chime of the strings and the
you need the stringy sort of thing,
transparent. Yeah, like too much output from the guitar kills the dynamics.
Yeah, you don't get that really with that pickup. I will say that,
especially on higher gain amps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a teeter-totter. It's a teeter-totter. It's like a hotter pickup. When hotter pickups were invented, it was like into like a stock Marshall,
right.
So they were looking to push that Marshall into more distorted territory. But when high gain amps came along, is the hot pickup really relevant?
Right.
I don't know.
I think you dial the pickup back a little bit and let the amp do the work, and then you can have your dynamics. They can pluck stuff, and it's going to be
for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, Jason. So what's your typical recording process? Are you using live, real amps in the recording process, or are you?
It's a hybrid. So most of the solo, like, I built this studio in the house, and every room in the house has a breakout panel, so I can put amps and stuff in other rooms. But
that's awesome.
But I've always used so I have this 1987 JCM 800, and that has the Mojo, so all the lead work I do is always that amp with a Boss SD1, everything on like 12 o'clock. And I love that the old line 6 green delay.
Oh yeah.
With, like, it has no has no MIDI or anything. It's just the old one, but it has a dynamic delay on that. So dynamic is it ducks when you're playing fast, and when you slow down, it kind of comes up.
Yeah.
And that delay is by far my favorite delay for recording. That combination of that guitar, that delay, that overdrive, and that head into that Marshall cabinet with a vintage. That I've been using that since day one, and I'm fortunate that I can leave it all set up, so it's always available. And for some of the rhythm stuff, I did profiles of especially during the last band and the records that we did, you know, we would create profiles, and that way over the 6 or 7 month period, you could always get back to that amp quickly if you had to, and not worry about, you know, the amp's been torn down, the mics are all put away and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So, but I'm always, you know, I'm always up for trying to start with what's the real stuff, you know, but, you know, when I'm sketching and just messing around, I'll just use a plugin, you know, just to write.
Right.
Through a plugin. And there are some that are really good. There's a Gojira plugin. Is it Neural that makes the Gojira?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
To me, and that one is actually modeled after the 5150, the EVH head. But anyway, plugins, they have their place, I guess, but I try to stick to the real deal, especially with the solos, because it's such a feel thing. And I would have, like, my 800 that I love would be sending to a cabinet and a microphone in a different room in the house. And then I would have a second JCM 800 set exactly the same, feeding a cabinet in the room here. So when I'm playing solos on records, I'm not monitoring from the monitors. I have it muted. I'm listening to my amp room, and I'm playing along with the track as if I'm hearing the band and I'm on stage with the band. It's really
yeah, it makes total sense.
It's an obsolete approach, but it works for me.
Hey, whatever works.
I find that latency is what I really don't like about trying to track with plugins. You know, like I'm always.
Oh, I hate that latency.
I'm trying to do all that really articulate stuff that has to be in time. So if you're going into the computer and hitting the plugin, it's coming back out the speakers. I don't feel like it's responding accurately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with you.
No.
Sergey Aguilar, Jason, how was your experience working with Vince Neil? I saw you were here in Mexico. You kicked major ass. Amazing tone and control.
God, these people are so nice. It's wonderful.
I'm weeding out all the bad ones. So
the truth comes out, right? Like all the
I'm just kidding.
Read their comments. I maintain to this day that was the most fun I've ever had playing in a band, was playing with Vince. I was the only guitar player, which was fun for me to just be the only guitar player. But Motley Crue songs are just really fun to play. And when you take all of their hits and you put them in a show like Livewire and Dr. Feelgood and Kickstart My Heart and
right, you're having a good time.
And Looks to Kill, and it goes on and on and on and on.
Right.
The audience was always just super party mode, right? And Vince was just about like platoons of hot chicks everywhere. So, it's just like our bus was like Caligula every night. It was like stepping over. I can't go into it, but it was the most fun I've ever had on a tour ever.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. We have a comment from Phil DeFreitas. He said, I had the pleasure of touring with Jason in 2013. Looking forward to seeing the new band again in 2014.
Oh my God.
Look forward to seeing the new band again in 2014. Brat Farah No Love Lost reunion.
Okay. That Brat Farrar and No Love Lost are the same band. The name got changed. And that was my band back in the 80s in Toronto. So that's going way back.
Wow.
But that's cool.
So you're originally from Toronto, Canada?
Yes, I'm Canadian, eh? Take off to the Great White North.
Oh, so you do you know Pete?
Pete
Thorne?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
I was actually, so he did this piece of music that he used to demo the Van Halen delay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know Pete, and I just, he did a Van Halen sounding track. And I just go, dude, send me that MP3. This music's incredible. Love the track. He goes, I can't, man. We're gonna repurpose it for the launch of the delay. And then I said, hey, can you get with Dave? I need him. Tell Dave, call me back. I gotta get him to build my stuff. But I don't know him, but but I follow his gear review stuff, and he's just a great spirit and a great player. And
yeah,
absolutely.
He's a really great guy. I know we're over the 2-hour mark. How you doing on time?
Me?
Everybody? Yeah. You all right?
Dude, we could talk till Wednesday. I put this off for, I knew I was going to like this, so I didn't want anything else. I'm good. As long as you guys want to go.
Awesome. And you did.
Oh, Mark will fall asleep pretty soon. So
I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm okay. So it's good we started at 8 o'clock these days. So we used to start at 9, and by 11 o'clock I was like, I'm getting old, guys. I gotta go to bed. So let's see. So let's talk. Do you have rack gear too? Do you like
rack gear?
Yeah. Do you
in my live rig?
No, just like in your home studio. Do you use rack gear and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean every piece imaginable. They're not really in view, but I have. Are you talking about guitar rack gear or a studio?
Yeah, guitar rack gear.
Well, I have multiple sets of the old Line 6. I think you can see the synth one or what's that one back there?
Oh, the rack mount Line 6 one.
I bought a bunch of that stuff because they stopped making it, and what I liked about it was like a pedal in a rack unit.
Yeah, it was easy to use.
And you could set your. I used to use it for that dotted eighth delay trick, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could set the tempo of your song in there and then go to the division to the dotted eighth and save. It was just awesome. And I really like those units. I used to use the G major for intelligent harmonizing, and that is one of the tricks that I think that is worth sharing. Is that I don't know, but they have boxes now where you can set, okay, this song is in B minor or Dorian or whatever, and it'll play a perfect harmony inside of your song, and it'll adjust all the harmonies to fit the key, right? Which sounds like two guitar players playing lead. So I've been doing that for a very long time, and you can't run that effect before the head, because essentially what happens is it duplicates the dry guitar and tries to make a harmony from the dry guitar and feed that dry stuff into the head. You can't. Intelligent pitch shifting harmony pedals have to run behind the preamp to be convincing, right? And so I run. That's just something I learned. If anyone cares, but it's a really, really fun trick, because all of a sudden I'm playing a lead, and all of a sudden I'm playing a melodic part that has a perfect harmony in key.
Especially
how is he doing that? Because it's not a track or anything. I'm playing and it's harmonizing as I go in real time.
Right. That's gotta sound great.
And the H90 is the newest and best unit for that. I used to use the G major too, but the H90 is far superior in my opinion.
Should be.
Yeah, right. Sometimes
the old G majors were actually pretty cool for a bunch of stuff, but but yeah, no, the H.
I tried it the other day, like I broke it, not the other day, but before we started building our rig, and I yanked it out of something, and I was like, ugh, I used to love this thing. Now, because ultimately it converts digital and then back to analog on the way out, right? So it's really all about the converters. And here's another thing that I also, because I called Eventide and they walked, and I said, the H90 has the same pitch harmonizer algorithm as the H9, but the difference is the A to D converters in the H90 are now like studio grade converters. So really high quality converters. So I hear that and I go, cool, I'm selling all of my H9s. Never again. It's a cool box.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so glad that they came out with the H90.
I think everyone.
Because it was like the H9 was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I remember Pete had two on his board.
That was you had to.
Yeah.
You only got one thing out of it. And there was that famous urban legend of somebody losing a gig because the MD saw them on their phone during the rehearsal. And he's like, I'm trying to dial my pedal in, but he thought he was on the phone. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. I think I've gone through all the questions, actually.
We should probably talk about our sponsors too, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about our sponsors. So we have sweetwater.com. Make sure you guys go to Sweetwater. The link below our video. If you click that, right now they've got Black Friday sales going on. So
Trouble.
Yep. Click the link. buy your Black Friday stuff, holiday stuff, and use our link. It doesn't cost any extra, and we get a little kickback to the show. Please check out fixpedalboards.com and also Thomann.com. I don't have a little blurb for that, but Thomann.com.
If you're in Europe.
Yes, please. And in addition, press subscribe and click the bell. All right. Because we're going to have a lot more awesome guests like Jason who will be joining. And so we'd like you guys to find out about it. So yeah, that's it. Fixpedalboards.com. They got more stuff coming soon. And
junction boxes, power supply brackets, pedal lifters, sliding rack shelf.
Yep.
That I designed.
What do you mean? Back up.
Sliding rack shelves, like
in the rack.
Like the rack shelves that you have in your rack. The ones that used to be made aren't made anymore. So we have new ones that are made, and they're lighter and they're better done.
Well, this is interesting to me because I remember watching one of your shows where you were saying that your favorite rack shelf was made by some other company or that you always go to.
Correct, but that company is no longer in business.
So you make one, and how is it?
It's so the old ones that we used to use were from a company called Raxis. There was an 18-inch deep shelf, and it was a steel shelf. The ones that we do are aluminum, so it's a lot lighter. It's a powder-coated aluminum now. It's a lot lighter. Same idea, same exact idea.
Yeah, but lighter is better.
It's lighter's better. And you can buy them right there on fixpedalboards.com.
Oh, cool.
Question for Jason. What's your favorite venue to play?
It's interesting. I just read that on the chat area, and I was trying to think of what I like. My favorite venue to play would be one where the people show up. Because I think
that's true.
Well, because I think I'm in in-ears. So, and historically, hockey arenas aren't known for really good acoustics, good sound. But I'm always on stage, so I don't, and I'm in the in-ears, so I can't really, from a sonic answer, I can't really say that anything sounds good to me because I'm not hearing it anyway. But I do like. We did play the Calgary Saddle Dome, and being Canadian, that's a pretty iconic place. And I don't even know if it sounded good, but it was in sound check. It sounded good. Every once in a while, I'll take the in-ears out and I'll just play, and just to hear your amp going into this huge reverb.
Yeah,
it's a rush, man. It's like, ooh, it just sounds like nothing else.
Old school.
Yeah, it sounds so good.
It's got to. Yeah, I've never experienced that.
Oh, there's nothing better than like hitting a few chords on a huge arena stage, and you're hearing it through the PA. Yeah. There's this roar that happens.
Oh yeah,
nothing better than that.
Yeah, they used to drag me out of sound check. I'll be like, "Oh, come on, just 5 more minutes, man."
Nothing better.
That's awesome. Vancouver, Victoria gig coming up.
Well, we just went across Canada with God's Mac, and Vancouver wasn't on the list, but we played just outside of Vancouver, a place called Abbotsford. Somebody's here. Okay, let's read this here for a second. Does Jason consider Flat Black to be butt rock? Would somebody please explain to me what butt rock is?
I don't know. I actually removed I actually removed the guy's comment. I took it off. I was like, what the fuck is that? So I
Okay. You know what? I'm playing Make Me Happy Rock. That's all it is. You call it whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think the comment was particularly nice. So
I don't even know what is butt rock. Is it? I don't know.
Have you heard that comment before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't even know what the hell it is.
The term, but I don't know if it actually means anything or if it's just a flat out diss.
I think it's kind of a diss.
I think it is. Butt rock is basically Bon Jovi. That's where it came from.
Okay. Well, obviously,
really, if
you listen to the Flat Black record, there's an obvious comparison to Slippery When Wet.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the comparison very, very completely. Yeah. No, you guys are not. I thought it was a stupid comment. So, oh, my wife's here. Oh, that's not my wife.
No, that was a question for me.
Is that a question for you?
Yeah.
Do you have a power tube preference like EL34, 6L6, etc., and brand?
Yeah, EL34s for me. I like EL34s.
Me too.
Brands, well, ones that work.
See, now we get the practical answer there.
I'm going to get the practical answer. The ones that are working well.
I do have a comment.
Yeah.
So I've never really been a Mesa Boogie guy, but I bought this Badlander, their new head, the Badlander, and it has EL34s in it, which I think is pretty non-typical for Mesa. But it's for me, out of every Mesa I've ever tried, that is my favorite.
Cool.
You go, cool. Next.
I'm curious. Was there anything in particular about the EL34 EVH that you liked over the 6L6?
Oh, I could go on forever, but I have the Stealth and the EL34. The 6L6s I find are a little bit more harsh, a little bit more brittle, more metal. I find that and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, because I don't know, but I find that the EL34s, particularly in the clean channel, is where they shine. They're just really warm and beefy and yummy.
I don't know. When I did that one thing to your amp, I was like, "Oh, this amp sounds good." So,
which amp we talking about?
EL34 5153 that you sent me that one time.
Oh, you said you had to replace a microphonic tube.
No, not in. I mean, well, your amps that came now, but even before when you had me mod that one.
Oh,
I thought they sounded pretty good. Well, yes, there was tubes.
If it was gold, it was EL34.
Yeah,
that's the only one That's the only one I stocked up on. Like I have a lot of them, and so I sometimes just put one aside for experimenting. But the EL34, I just find it to be a much more harmonically pleasing sound.
Yeah.
Jason, what pickups are you using now? We covered that before. It was Pariah pickups.
Yeah.
And so, and picks, Ultex Sharps. So
I recently changed. The Ultex material is very hard. I mean, it's like, it's not nylon. It's like really hard. And I can get a really good, it's pointed, right? So I can go, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very strong. So I can do all this string scraping and stuff, and they seem to last a little bit. They're a little harder material than the nylon pick,
That makes sense.
That's cool.
Especially for the heavy strings too, right? And the tune down and
yeah.
Oh yeah. How heavy of strings are you using?
13 to 70.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. Trust me. But I'm playing in baritone tuning, right? So that's in B standard. If we could agree that regular guitar was designed for E standard, so this is down to B. And the Gibson scale neck is the shortest scale. It's 24 3/4, right? And so it's a challenge to get things to
work.
Yeah, and the only thing I could come up with is these heavy taunt gauges that will hold the string and give a decent tone. Otherwise, tuning anything lighter down that low just turns into rubber bands, and it's awful.
Right.
And I don't play solos on that kind of thing in the studio because it's too difficult. When I go to play stuff live, I'll practice the solo a million times and learn how much tension to bend those heavier strings and get them ready to play them live. But in the studio, I don't want to play like that kind of a thing on the solos. I want something that's like easy to play.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've gone through all the questions, and the last thing I would ask you, Jason, is what's happening next? Like what's going on? Where can people reach out and see your music and find out all about your stuff?
Well, the new band is called Flat Black, and the album is going to be coming out in March, and we are going to be back on tour in February. We don't know if we're going to be packaged or headlining, but everything just took a massive leap. I mean, it just went from 0 to 100. So I'm super grateful and happy that we were able to skip a few steps. And the record will be out in March. Super proud of it. Put everything I had into it, and I'm excited.
That's fantastic. I see you guys are coming in May to Rockville.
Oh yeah, Dave has the record.
Oh, you do?
I do somewhere.
And
You said it to me.
I deleted it.
No, I didn't delete it.
Well, if you
Where did you send it to me? I can't figure out where it is.
No, you know what? It was a private SoundCloud link.
Oh yeah.
Probably gone because we keep changing the.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, I know. I listened to a few songs and stuff.
No, it sounds great, Jason.
Yeah.
I really like the music, and
trying to bring back simplicity songs and really focus around the guitar and drums, and just make that work. Don't lean on all the synths and the computer and that
Right.
Real drums.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I wish you all the best, and hopefully, if you guys get down to South Florida, I'll come and see you.
Well, thanks, guys. I was very much looking forward to doing this, and I'm glad that we found a space and time this decade.
And next time I'm in Vegas, I'll look you up if you're in town.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, please do.
Although I don't want to go anywhere near Vegas right now.
No, not at all.
The F1 thing going on. Oh God,
it's a shit show down there, and everyone has said the same thing. We're not going anywhere near that. But if you do make it down here, please let me know.
Yep.
Yeah. Go out.
Got a great restaurant I'd like to go to.
Which is it?
Sparrow and Wolf.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's in the Chinatown area.
Okay.
And you have to go there because it's fucking amazing.
All I do
there.
Go
here. There.
Yeah. If you're inviting me, I'm there.
Well, go there just before that because it's amazing. You won't be disappointed.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be back in a week or so. Haven't scheduled any new guests, but we're working on it, and we'll probably have another Ask Dave show, Punish Dave with questions sometime soon. And again, Jason, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's a pleasure to meet you, and all the best with Flat Black. And just hang on while we say goodbye. All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.